Several of the films that I've reviewed on YouTube had their greatest strengths in their cinematography, their visual effects, and their overall look on screen. Here is another such film, The Fountain, directed by Darren Aronofsky, who many of you know as the director of The Wrestler, starring Hugh Jackman, Rachel Weisz, Ellen Burstyn, and Ethan Suplee, who many of you know is Randy from My Name is Earl. The biggest thing I was told about this film is that it's a visual masterpiece, and that is no mere flattery. This film uses wonderful effects and images on screen, and remarkably, no CGI whatsoever. It's hard to imagine that if you watch the film itself and think, this was done without CGI? But it was. It was done to save cost, because remarkably the budget was only $35 million. Which is ironically about the same budget that it cost to make the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. The film follows three different storylines, each one radically different from the other, yet bound together by the same actors, the same kind of themes, and the same message that Aronofsky is trying to show us. There's basically a storyline set in the past, a storyline set in the present, and the third storyline is really hard to identify for sure. It's basically up to interpretation. But the thing I was reminded of most is kind of, I guess, the end to 2001: A Space Odyssey, but that's pretty vague in itself. The film's central storyline that connects all the other storylines together is the story set in the present. Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz play husband and wife. Thomas is a researcher in a hospital, with a team headed by Ethan Suplee and a boss played by Ellen Burstyn. His wife Izzy, played by Rachel Weisz, is suffering from cancer, which prompts his own determined, single-minded search for a cure to cancer. Ultimately, what he's trying to prevent is death itself. He sees death as just another disease that needs to be cured. This is a very interesting look upon death, and Hugh Jackman's character suffers in his search, or rather, his crusade for the cure to death. In the meantime, Izzy is writing a story about what the things that fascinate her most. She's a stargazer and looks at the sky, and it has a particular fascination with this one nebula known as Xibalba, which is a very important star in the Mayan religion. The Mayans also play a very important part in one of the storylines. This storyline is conducted through the story that Izzy is writing. The story that Izzy's writing basically has those two as the main characters, because, as all writers do, she writes about what she knows. In this storyline set in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition, Rachel Weisz plays the Queen of Spain, and Hugh Jackman plays a bearded Tomas, sent out by the Queen to find the Fountain of Youth. Basically, an old monk has gone to the ancient worlds of South America and has uncovered the location of the Tree of Knowledge. The Tree of Knowledge, if for all of you who haven't heard much about the Bible, is basically one of the two trees that stood in the Garden of Eden. When Adam and Eve were cast out, God hid the Tree of Life from humanity for the rest of time. The Queen wants Eden to be rediscovered on Earth, basically. She tells Tomas she will be his Eve when he finishes his task, and gives him a ring to remember her by. The crusade for the Garden of Eden takes them deep into the jungles, surrounded by natives and confronted by high priests in the Mayan faith. And ultimately, well, you'll see for yourself. I have deliberately left out the third storyline simply because it's really hard to explain and it would give too much away. Because that's what's important about a story like this. You should see it for yourself. Parallels in all three storylines come together and then drift apart, connected by the symbolism of such things as trees providing life, various religious symbols from such varied religions as Buddhism and Christianity and Mayan faith. There are several shots in different storylines that parallel each other, such as the scene where Tomas is climbing the giant pyramid. There is also another scene where Tommy is climbing the stairs in a museum, and the two shots are remarkably alike, much like another one where he's driving to the lab. In another scene, Tomas is riding to the Queen of Spain's castle. The film's visual quality is stunning. You could watch the movie just to see how it looks, and you'd still be remarkably entertained, as well as the wonderful soundtrack that goes along with it. This is, I believe, what they call a passion project. Darren Aronofsky has put much time into this film, and you can see it in the way it is made and set up. He initially had a lot of trouble getting this film made, and the budget went from $70 million to half that. And he also had Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett, who would later be in that really crappy Benjamin Button film. But that's another story, and I'm really glad he got the two lead actors that are in this film. Hugh Jackman has never been better. The three different roles require different accents, different amounts of hair, and various different emotional states. And Hugh Jackman pulls them all off with ease. Rachel Weisz does another very good job in this film, and the supporting roles fill out what they have to do. Aronofsky hasn't made that many films yet, but I would definitely say this is the best one that I've seen so far. This is a brilliant piece of artistry that I hope will stand the test of time, and it's kind of ironic that I say that considering this movie deals with time. It deals with life and death, and the endless cycle that has baffled us and haunted us for millions of years. It's a film that takes a look at those parts of being human, and we look at our follies as we search for the impossible goals that we nevertheless still claim are possible to obtain.